What's up everyone? In today's video, we'll be showing you how to trim out your sliding door
and the back door.
We made the mistake of installing our lower cabinet before we did the door trim, so we'll have to remove that. First things first, you want to use the plastic piece that came on your door as a template. If your door did not come with this plastic piece, make a template out of cardboard, trace it out, and then begin cutting. Time to see how good or bad we did on this cut. Ooh. First time, never happens, we'll take it. Now for the real fun. We get to rip down some rough cut boards and plane them. Someone had the genius idea to put slats on the door to add more depth to it. Hopefully it looks okay. If not, we'll probably just like pull it off and go back with shiplap, but thought it might add a little character to the van. Shiplap or slats? Let us know in the comments. Took our template and traced it over onto the piece of plywood that we cut out. The template wasn't like 100%, so I kind of like free-handed the rest of it. Hopefully my judgment is decent. Only time will tell.
So we lined these up on the backboard and traced where he's got to cut it off based off that template on the same curve for each of those. Alright, so we've got everything spaced out and aligned properly. He's drawn the lines to match the back template, and this will pretty much be what it looks like, but all painted white. And of course, on the door.
Okay, so right now we're getting the spacing right, and then what we're going to do is glue the back side of these and then shoot nails up from the underside. That way you don't see any nail holes. And we're going to leave the top, bottom, and one of the center ones out. That way we can put screw holes, and then we'll nail those from this side and just patch up the nail holes. That way you don't see any screw holes. Hopefully it's as easy as it sounds, but it never is with us. One down and the smaller one to go. This one actually goes right at the tippy top of the doorway. For these upper panels, we'll kind of just be mimicking the sliding door, the way that we did that, and then we just traced out the factory panels that came on the lower section and put that on a piece of wood instead of the plastic. Painted all of that white, but I'll show you what we're working with. So this will be for the upper section. These are just spacers, so don't really pay much attention to that. This is what we'll be using for the lower sections of the door. And we may even like decide to put a shelf system on it, I don't know. We were going to put slats to match the sliding door and match the upper sections, but we realized that we wouldn't even ever see that unless the back doors were open, so we didn't really care too much about getting real fancy on it. But yeah, time to mount these suckers up. As you can see here, we just attached the middle one, and the way we did that was we put glue on the back side and then nailed up through this side. And the reason why we didn't put the top and bottom ones on are we're going to be setting screws through these small little pilot holes, and then we'll actually cover the screws up with the bottom and top slats. We'll just glue those and then we'll nail them from the top, and then we can fill the nail holes, which is a lot less labor intensive than filling screw holes. Thanks so much for tuning into today's video. As always, time for our tips, tricks, mistakes, and cost, and there are plenty of them.
For such a small project, we've got a lot. The first thing is just make sure everything that you actually put into the van, like the cabinets, the upper cabinets or lower cabinets, aren't actually attached before you start working on trimming out the door, especially if those cabinets come over into the door area.
We're actually moving forward with our cabinets rather than the door, and Jelaine's like, whoa, we forgot to do the door. We have to pull this whole thing out. So fortunately, she caught that before we were too far along with it, and that really saved us as far as that goes. Another thing to remember, make sure that the holes that you're covering are well insulated before you cover them up. We didn't show this as a mistake in the video, but we actually did that on the back doors, and we're like, oh crud, I don't think we put any insulation in the door, so we had to remove the back panel after we mounted it up, which wasn't like a huge deal, but we had to rip the strips off and then just redo all of that all over again, which we didn't film, of course. But yeah, make sure you insulate all of those cavities well.
Yeah, because we had them originally insulated and took all the insulation out to actually drill the holes to get the metal shavings and everything out so it wouldn't rust, but we forgot to actually put that back in. Make sure to like pre-drill all of the holes because it makes life a lot easier through going through the metal when you're actually screwing the board to it. And also make sure that there's no wires behind wherever you're pre-drilling or even screwing, because then that could cause a huge problem.
We were using self-tapping screws like we did with all of the furring and all of that, and they were going in through the metal with the furring pretty easily, but we broke a couple of them off in the door, so we went back and started pre-drilling everything. Something that we didn't show in the video is after we put the screws in the wood panels on the rear doors on the lower sections, what we did was we just went through and filled those holes up with wood filler, and it just gave it a nice clean look after it was all painted up.
The total cost of this project was $40.13, which was basically the cost of the plywood because we had leftover wood from the ceiling and the nails and the paint and all that kind of supplies from other projects.
Thanks so much for joining us in today's video. If you gained any value from this video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions for us, drop them in the comments. We'd love to answer those for you. And check out this playlist if you have any other van build projects coming up. We're Ben and Jelaine with Nomadic Visuals, and we'll see you in the next one.